to another reading vlog. I feel like it's been a really long time since we've done a video that was strictly a reading related video. I've obviously been showing like what I'm reading or what I was reading in a lot of my writing videos, but it's been a while since we've done a reading vlog. And I've been seeing this trend going around of a lot of my favorite booktubers doing a video showing how many pages they like realistically read in a week. And since this is not a very busy writing week for me with a lot of deadlines, I figured we have some extra time on our hands to get some reading done. I have a couple of library books that I need to finish because I need to return them on time. So, I mean, perfect opportunity if you ask me to do a writing video. So I wanted to chat to you about the books I have been reading, that I am reading. As you saw this morning, I finished Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I think this is the last book of hers that I haven't read apart from Mansfield Park. I still need to read that one. But if you know me, you know I'm a big Austen girly. I think Pride and Prejudice will forever remain my favorite. There's just something about that book. I think my second favorite is Emma for sure, but I really have like a soft spot in my heart for Northanger Abbey for some reason. I think it's mostly because of the movie and the actor that plays Mr. Tilney in the movie, but for some reason I do love Northanger Abbey as well. But I mean, if you're not an Austen person, obviously the writing style differs quite a lot from the kind of novels that we're used to today, but I feel like once you get into her, you realize like how ahead of her time she really was and why her novels are such a success, or there's such classics. I really love her work, and I would highly recommend reading an Austen novel if you have yet to do so. I would say if you want to, watch the movies first if the language is a little bit difficult for you to comprehend. It's not that complicated, it's not Shakespeare, but I mean, it does take a while to get used to. I feel like it makes it a bit of a slower read until you really can get into it. So I started on page 170 and I ended at page 185. So I only read 15 pages of this book, which was not that many, but we had to finish it. And then we are moving on to our next book, which is Immortality. And this is the sequel to Anatomy, which I read earlier in the year. It follows the story of Hazel. She lives in Edinburgh in the early 1800s, so actually kind of same time period. Ironically enough, halfway through this book, the characters were talking about Sense and Sensibility, or actually Jane Austen is mentioned once or twice in this book, but there was specifically one scene where one of the characters were reading Sense and Sensibility, and I just found it kind of ironic that I was also reading Sense and Sensibility at the same time. Coincidence? Anyways, it follows the story of Hazel in early 19th century Edinburgh, and she wants to be a surgeon, but obviously because she's a woman that is not possible. So she dresses up as a man and then secretly starts attending these anatomy classes in order to become a surgeon. This is obviously the sequel, so it follows the first book. It has been a very interesting sequel because we obviously have a love interest, but it took 160 pages, I think, or actually no more. There was only 160 pages left of the book before the love interest showed up. So for like the good first 230 pages, I was like, where is this man? Anyways, he's here now, and we are currently on page 361. I think there are only 390, so we don't have that many left to go. But yeah, the writing is just really fast paced and it just gets you so invested into the story. Like, I did not want to put this book down. I've read 140 pages today, and like I said, we only have 30 to go, and I'm honestly scared when I put this book down it's gonna put me in a bit of a reading slump, because I'm like, what am I gonna pick up that's gonna get me as invested as I was in this? So highly recommend if you like any kind of Regency era romance novels, kind of gothic vibes, because it's a little bit, that's my alarm, it's a little bit dark, but it's not too dark or too kind of gruesome, even though obviously we've got a lot of surgical explanations going on. So I do highly recommend this, but I'm also a little bit nervous because I'm like, there's only 30 pages left and there's a lot that's unresolved, and things just started getting a little bit intense. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how we're gonna round everything off in the next 30 pages. So I am concerned. I think my plan is I'm going to make a cup of hot chocolate because it is cold for some reason. Winter decided to return to us. Anyways, I think I'm gonna make a cup of hot chocolate. I'm gonna, shall I sit down here? Probably not. I think we need to change the scenery. I'm gonna sit downstairs and I'm gonna finish this book. Some of this I saw coming, but this I did not see coming. We are on chapter 32. It's the last chapter and we only have like 9 pages to go. Okay, so that was quite interesting. I feel like there's 2 things about the ending that I did not see coming. One of them I did. Overall, I'd say I'm happy. I'm happy with the ending. There were some cute moments in there as well. I think I would have liked a bit more romance in this book because our love interest shows up quite late in the story. And I mean, I really enjoyed the plot of the story. I do think I would have liked a bit more romance earlier on. But overall, I think this is a really good duology. I would highly recommend this. Now I don't know what I'm going to read because what am I going to find that's going to get me as invested as I was in this? Good morning guys, it's Tuesday and we are starting a new book today. This is 1,000 Heartbeats by Kiera Cass. If you've not heard of her, you probably weren't into dystopian novels at the period when they kind of peaked. But when I say I read the Selection series, all 5 books in 5 days, I'm not kidding. I loved that series and I love her writing as well. I really enjoy the kind of romances that she writes and yeah, just her writing style overall. It's fast paced but it gets you very invested. So this book is about a princess who is forced into a arranged marriage for political gain, and then we have our other main character who is kind of part of like a rebel group or a banished clan, and they want to overthrow the princess's father and take back the throne from him. And so obviously their worlds going to collide. There's probably going to be romance, I'm assuming. It sounds like it. And yeah, this is quite a longer novel. I think this is probably the longest novel that I've ever seen her write. It's about 550 pages, but I just really enjoy the vibes of her stories. I want to say my expectations are enormously high for this one, but I feel like I am going to enjoy it because I know that I enjoy her books. And I mean, who doesn't love a good enemies to lovers? Like yesterday, like I said, I read 15 pages from Sense and Sensibility and 165 pages from Immortality, which brings our total up to 180 pages. And then hopefully today, I feel like I'd be very happy if we can read anything from 120 to 150 pages. That would be good for me. Page 150, and I have to say I'm quite invested in the story now. our two main characters have met, and you know how a lot of the time they say it's enemies to lovers, but then they're not really enemies, or they don't have a reason to be enemies. It's more like they just dislike each other. These two characters, they have more than one reason to be enemies, so this legitimately feels like enemies to what I hope will eventually be lovers, because not gonna lie, I'm kind of gonna be disappointed if there's no romance between the two of them. Also, I feel like we've had a good build-up of the story. We've had good world building without it being like overly complicated. So we've had a bit of history with the characters and the kingdom and everything, and it's enough to like get you invested without being too intense. So we've gotten to a more intense part of the story. Things are finally starting to pick up. It did not happen in the way that the story isn't going in the way that I imagined it would go or how they would meet, but I have no complaints about it. I'm genuinely curious to see where this is gonna go. So first 150 pages so far, so good. Kira Cass never disappoints, and it does read quite fast. So the 150 pages doesn't feel like I've been reading for a very long time. It's 11:39, and as you saw earlier, I went to one of my favorite writing spots, got some writing done, but I also managed to do some reading. Yesterday I stopped at page 173, so we managed to read 172 pages, which I'm pretty happy with. There was a moment where I thought the enemies were no longer enemying, but they still are. I've reached part 2 of the book, and I'm still thoroughly enjoying this. I'm excited to see where it's going to go, and yeah, just how the whole thing is going to play out. I feel like we've had a good setup in part 1, and now I'm intrigued to see where this is going to go and how they're going to figure this out, because right now it's not looking well for them. I think one of the other reasons I honestly just love the vibes of her books so much, and this one as well, is because it reminds me of If the Crown Fits. Not necessarily because the story is the same, but just like the overall vibes of the world and everything is similar in some ways, or at least it reminds me of it. So obviously it would be amazing if I could have finished this book today, but I feel like that might be a little ambitious. However, I definitely want to finish it by tomorrow so that we can start something else for the week. I'm now 388 pages into this book. We've officially reached part 3. The stakes are getting high, I'm not gonna lie. I'm still unsure of how this is going to end. I feel like I was so confident in the beginning that our two main characters are going to end up together and live happily ever after, and now I'm not gonna lie guys, I'm a little worried. Yesterday we read 144 pages, so not an astounding amount, but still fairly decent. I would really love to finish this book today, but we still have a good couple of pages to go. I don't think it's impossible. I just think that I might finish a little bit later this evening if I do finish it all. I really wanted to read a lot last night, but when I got home I was literally so tired. I had my dinner and then I took a shower and I went straight to bed and I fell asleep like really quickly. I've been reading for the last like half an hour, 40 minutes, but it's getting really cold inside the house for some reason, so I'm thinking we should head out and go and sit outside and read somewhere at the park, or yeah, just somewhere in the sun. Honestly, I think I need a little bit of sun. If this does not end well, I'm going to be very upset. This is all I'm saying. Yesterday we finished 1,000 Heartbeats. I have to say it did surprise me in some ways. I did also enjoy how the main character, the princess, she's very dutiful, and so she's constantly kind of, you know, making sacrifices for the sake of her kingdom, and how especially towards the end of the book she really started standing up for herself, and it was giving very strong female main character vibes. We love that. And then also I did like the love interest. I will say though, I feel like I would have liked the main characters to spend a bit more time with each other before it kind of progressed to romance, because the thing is though, it wasn't insta love, because we were well into the 300 pages and these two were still contemplating killing each other. I had like a very long scene together where the dynamic between them kind of changes, but it would have been nice to see them spend like a little bit more time together, just because for a large majority of the story they're not actually in the same place, they're apart from each other. So I think that's like the only thing that I would have liked to see more of. But other than that, I really like the vibes of the story, the setting, the feel of it. It's kind of nostalgic in a sense, and I really enjoyed this. Then this morning, I think this is probably one of my most recently, like most anticipated books, because I read Once Upon a Broken Heart early in the year, loved it, and everyone says that the second book is their favorite, and everyone gave this a 5-star rating. My expectations for this book are exceedingly high, but I hope it lives up to all the hype, but I believe it will, because even from the first page she did not hesitate. We jumped straight into it, so it's already looking very promising. I'm on page 20 at the start of chapter 3. I'm going to continue reading this today. Yesterday, oh, I forgot to tell you my reading count. So yesterday we read from page 317 to 561, so that was a total of 244 pages, which is the most that we've done so far. So yesterday was a very productive reading day. I don't think we'll do as many today. I will be impressed if I do 100 pages, because this does read quite fast, but I also have a fairly busy work and social day, so we'll see how far we get. I'm really hyped for this one, guys. Good morning, it is now Tuesday, and I wanted to do a final update slash wrap up before we end this video. So on Friday, like you saw, I read The Ballad of Never After. I only got about 35 pages in, which is not that many, but if we add all the sum totals together of everything I read, so Monday was 180 pages, Tuesday was 172, Wednesday 143, Thursday 244, and Friday 135. We have 774 pages, which I'm pretty happy with. I think that's pretty decent for my average reading, all things considered. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching. I'm excited to get back to the writing vlogs and the publishing vlogs, and I'll see you soon. Bye!